Hello and welcome. This is a chat to the professional, the show that has been designed to x-ray the activities of professional individuals and corporate bodies. My name is Martin Sobu and I'm sure glad to be with you. Today on the show, we are going to be taking a look at what a lot of people call local content, but for me it's about how we can encourage ourselves to be who we really want to be the best we can, but doing that in Nigeria. Yes, no problem traveling or living abroad. Yes, I don't have any problem if we continue to give to so many other countries what we've got up here. But how can we ensure that the expertise we have are deployed to better our standard of living in this country, and of course, by extension, the entire continent of Africa? And that's why today on A Chat with the Professional, we are going to once again be having one of the big fish in the political scene, but we are going to be taking a look at a topic of discussion from the from the professional point of view. Yes, he achieved lots and lots of fame as a politician, but he made a great mark before even getting into politics, and that's what's most important. We should be able to say that when we leave office, we are able to retire to what it was we were known for before getting into politics. And that's why today on A Chat with the Professional, it's going to be my great pleasure to have the immediate past governor of Ogun State, South-West Nigeria. But the proper introduction and of course the topic of discussion will come after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. It's not all the time that you come across a professional in politics, but when we do, we try as much as we can to extract as much information as possible. And today we are well privileged to have one of the power players in Nigerian politics, a professional to the core, someone who made his mark in engineering long before venturing into politics. And it is my pleasure once again today to have the founding chairman of Crystal Laurel. Of course, this is one man that you'll be shocked, because by the time you find his face on the screen, you'll be asking yourself, oh, was he ever in the professional world? Yes, because politics, as it were, made him a lot more popular, and today he's known as OGD. But I'm going to introduce him as Engineer Gbenga Daniels. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Mm-hmm. It's my pleasure.
Yes, my delight to have you. Engineering practice in Nigeria is one critical area that the country has not yet tapped into as it should. Let's even take it from construction. For several years, we've had expatriates dominating that sector. How come that for every little construction, we are looking out there when we have enough qualified Nigerian professionals that can handle it?
What I like to all of us to focus is a little bit of the history of Germany.
Okay.
After the Second World War in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Today, people feel that if there is going to be any quality engineering-wise, you know, the name Germany is synonymous to quality.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this started after the war, and the process of reconstruction started. Okay. First, it started with the German army, the army engineers. Mm-hmm. They had such a large army, and they had to put them to work. The first few bridges that they built collapsed. But that was not the end of the story. They did not, because of that, then said we have to go to the United States or somewhere to go and look for engineers.
Yes.
They kept at it, and they started improving their quality, so that today quality durability happens to be synonymous to German engineering. When doctors do qualify, you do have young doctors. They are supposed to work hand in hand with experienced doctors, serving their, tutelage or pupillage or whatever you call it, before they now. In fact, as a matter of fact, there was a time in this country where you couldn't practice, even as a lawyer, without going through a number of years as tutelage in an established law firm.
Yeah.
That is not supposed to be different from what happens in engineering. If we can imbibe that spirit, I have no doubt in my mind that in a couple of years, all the things that we do by looking for foreign contractors will not be necessary. Because our people, it has been proven, are intelligent, very brilliant, and they have capacities and capabilities. But because the system that we run here have not given opportunities to up and coming individuals in their various fields, that's why we keep running abroad. The tragedy, however, is that we will not be able to sustain this type of economy where the little resources that accrue to us are not being circulated in-house.
Yes.
They are being expatriated. That's really what the issues are. So I have never been in any doubt, and that is why when I had an opportunity as governor in Ogun State, it is not because I didn't like expatriate companies. I, of course, liked them. Yes, but I ensured that in all of my 8 years, all the jobs that we had to give out, we gave them to Nigerian companies. All, without any exception. Not only did we do them at a fraction of the cost, we were very happy that we were able to, as it were, get our people busy and created a major turnaround in the economy of the state. If what we did in Ogun State could be replicated at the level of the federal, this country will not be poor again. And all these broad problems of unemployment that they're talking about will have been reduced as much as possible. So this issue that you raise is major.
You've just hit the nail at the head, because that brings us to the critical area, which is a major campaign we carry on this show, trying to provide mentorship, because we talked about it. Mentorship practically no longer exists in this country, because there's nobody you're looking up to apart from a politician. So professionally, people just get out of school and all they need is money, they need cars, they need comfortable homes. Nobody is talking about what is it I'm giving into the system to be called a professional. And what you just said is also happening in our education sector. The little resources we have here, we send our people abroad to go and study. One would have expected that after such studies, they come back home to bring back the knowledge they've gotten from, those advanced societies. But what happens is, after graduation, they stay back and work there. So we've lost the revenue, all the resources we spent in training them, because they are now providing or making impact in those other economies where they reside. So what is it that, borrowing a leaf from what you did as governor, that at the federal level and even other states, even at the local level, we can do to go back to those good old days when, if you are leaving school, be it secondary or tertiary, there's someone you're looking up to who is up there practicing that you want to be like. We no longer have that. How do we get to that point where we will now begin to de-emphasize material acquisition?
We can still achieve it, partially by legislation though.
Okay.
A few days ago, I was talking to a young lawyer who was trying himself out at a case.
Okay.
And the feedback was that he did not do well in the way he handled the case. I then asked him, since you graduated, where have you received your tutelage? And he couldn't tell me any law firm where he has really worked. And then I started explaining to him, I said, look at all the successful lawyers that we have today. If you trace them, the radical ones, once you see them, you know that this is probably Ganifa-Emi lineage.
Mm-hmm.
The conservative ones, if you look at them, you probably say, he must have trained with Rotimi Williams.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are corporate lawyers, if you look at them and say, this may be product of Chris Ogunbanjo, and this must be Afe Babalola. You had those firms that whatever you want to do, if you want to be a radical lawyer, you knew where to go. And all the people who have become successful today in that profession, that's what you find. It's not supposed to be different with other professions. So I think by legislation, it must be possible for a medical doctor who is coming out of school to say he wants to stand alone. I'm not so sure if the law is still there until he has served a minimum number of years. If it was 5 years before, maybe it shouldn't be more. With established practices. That is one way of looking at it. The second way can be by deliberate action. For instance, whereas if Nigerians don't feel confident at this stage that our local engineer can build bridges, of course I don't agree. While I was governor of Ogun State, I think we built about 8 bridges, all of which were built by Nigerian engineers. They are still standing. But for purposes of this discussion, let's go into high-rise building. There can be a decision that says, okay, when this building is not more than about 5 floors or 6 floors, it must be done by a Nigerian organization, which means that if you are an expatriate company, you know that by that law, you are not even qualified ab initio to build that. And let Nigerians do what they have to do within that range. You can also go to roads and say, okay, any road that is trunk C, trunk B, for starters, the Nigerians must be, as a matter of policy, given the chance to do those roads. And even in those areas where you allow other companies from outside to compete, you must also legislate it in such a way that local content becomes key, which means that whether they like it or not, for each and every expatriate engineer they bring, for instance, if I were in a position, I would say for each and every expatriate engineer you bring, you must employ 3 Nigerian engineers in that chosen field. That is the way to slowly, gradually, consciously, deliberately ensure that this thing called technology can be properly transferred. And I am persuaded that until we begin to do that, we will not be able to escape the myriad of problems that we do have in our country, vis-a-vis unemployment, radicalism, all sorts of things that happen because people are simply jobless.
Professional handshake. Professional profile.
Nigeria is the most important country in sub-Saharan Africa.
In-depth analysis of professional issues.
Of education, the collapse of culture in Nigeria. Even with cheating, we can't pass. With the enormity of the cheating.
We've not done enough. There's still more to be done.
Join Martin Zobu every week on this channel as he chats with the professionals on the program. A chat with the professionals. A program designed to x-ray the activities of professional individuals and corporate bodies.
Hello viewers, and you're welcome.
Join us.
You know, what you just said now is, for me, it boils down to a case of patriotism. Because if our leaders, if every leader or if every political office holder, as it were, would appreciate what you're saying, we might not even need any form of legislation. For instance, why in the world would I want to? It doesn't just exist in the construction industry. is in all aspects of our economy. Even the media, I mean on TV, there's a bank that you will never, a Nigerian bank, that you will never find its advert on any Nigerian local station. You will never. But that particular bank has been funding a show on an international media consistently for years. Isn't it a case of patriotism? Couldn't that bank have said, okay, we invest in show 1 or 2, and then let's see if it's a case of technical quality not being up to standard, just like you said, without encouragement, how would they rise? How would they be able to purchase those equipment? What would be your input to what we are doing, going round, providing mentorship to these young lads while they are still in school, so that when they come out, they are not just looking for money, but looking at practicing, looking at a profession that they've studied and making impact and creating a name, carving a niche for themselves, just like you did in your company.
Well, first and foremost, the objective of the private organization is slightly different from government. As far as the private sector is concerned, their responsibility is to the shareholders, to their management and to their workers. Of course, there are social responsibilities that they are also obliged to do if they, running a good organization. But you will not want to blame a private organization for placing its adverts in a medium where he has conceived can maximize his potentials. You will have been doing something that the shareholders are happy about, so and I'm not so sure you can win that argument. Between you and I, it is the government that should provide leadership. Once government has done the right thing, the private sector have no issues. They will fall in line. Whatever is there that is happening or not happening, I will put it squarely in the hands of government, as it were. When you talk about mentoring, the biggest mentor you can have is also the government.
Yes.
And I've given you some examples of what we had opportunity to do and which we did. You spoke, for instance, of people who graduated abroad or here and then decide to go abroad to work. Again, I can give you a typical example. While I was in Ogun State, we had what we call the human capital development. We look for talents. People who have come with a first class or in the minimum a second class upper in certain areas which we felt was key to the development of Ogun State. And so we send them abroad to study those relevant courses at the master's and the PhD level. First thing first, they were very bright chap at the point where we took them. And between you and I, more than half of them, when they finished, they got first class jobs abroad. Okay, here they are. They have finished computer education, environmental studies, architecture, ICT development, all manner of things that I heard demand abroad, for which they got jobs that were paying them very, very good, And what do I have for them if they come back home? I can't force them in the hands of private companies, so the only thing I can do is to employ them back into the various ministries. Under the groups at the ministry, whether you are the most brilliant in the world, if you have a young person with a master's, the best that can happen to you is level 9. And so what does that come to?
What does it amount to?
I don't know whether it's about 50,000 or 60,000 naira per month. And here is somebody who is getting something like 60,000 pounds per annum. So you will have done a lot of disservice if you force him or punish him one way or the other. We didn't bother. But what was important was that a few of them then came back And out of conscience, they came back and said, look, we want to give back. And we then allowed them to begin to retrain other people in their chosen field. That's part of the reason how we started the various sciences polytechnics. Between you and I, until we create the environment here in our country where people can earn wages that are commensurate with what they get in other locations in the world, there's no other way to stop it.
Sure.
And what we have also found out with most of our people, when they do complain that, oh, but life is more difficult here, it's easier abroad, most of them, when they go abroad, want to come back home. And they keep repeating that, look, there is no place like home. So by and large, if the wages at home can be, even if it's not competing with what it is,
yes,
if it is close to it, people will prefer to come home. And that is really what we think we need to do. That's the only way it can happen.
Because just like you said, there's no way you can ask someone to live where he's earning a better wage, to come back home.
And there is more than enough work in this country.
That's it.
That can sustain the qualified people that we do have.
It's about creating that. My own concern actually is not that I don't have any problem if we become the largest exporter of intellectuals. Just like we have in the United States, it's on record that Nigeria supplies, if you like, the United States, the greatest number of educated immigrants. I don't have any problem with that. But how do we ensure that we are as good as we are when we are out there? How do we begin to create those enabling environments, that will bring back our people after studying abroad or after getting some special training, and when they come back, they are able to earn a wage that can really take good care of them? That's majorly my concern, and that's why we're talking about this mentorship, to ensure that, yes, a little to the left, a little to the right. We had someone like Professor Dora Akunyili, may her soul rest in peace, who decided that, okay, because I got so much from my country, I'm going to give so much. She won visa lottery before she even went into government. And what she did was just to relocate her kids. But she remained here. So that's essentially my concern. And I'm just hoping that with people like you, we should be able to begin to drive those processes that will encourage our youth, not just to run away feeling that they've been so neglected by their own country, but would want to come home because they might have something at least similar or close to what they are, they have over there to work with. Before I let you off the hook today, sir, I'm still going to ask you. You made mention about how legislation can assist in what we are doing, what we are talking about. And I'm wondering, without meaning to patronize, with your wealth of experience, have you considered, being a legislator, for instance, to ensure that, yes, you said it, you are not going to be governor again, okay, fine, you could be president, fine, but in the interim, are you considering, just like late Professor Dora Akunyili said, that she felt with her wealth of experience, the National Assembly was another place she could go and contribute. Are you thinking in that direction, sir?
Let me put it this way. If it is for the purposes of those legislation, I don't personally have to be at the National Assembly.
Okay.
And I think this is what a number of people probably do not know. If any individual has something that he considers germane or that can help the society, what the person just needs to do is to go look for the person who is representing him and discuss with him, persuade him on the need to sponsor such a bill, give him data. And with that, he can champion such a bill, and with the necessary lobby, especially for something that appears to be, altruistic, he can say through. So that's the way I like to put it. I will not say that I have not thought about it. I have not just thought about it. There are quite a number of people who are insisting that I should consider going to the National Assembly. It's just that I have not, let me say, acclimatized. I've not acclimatized it. I've not gotten together in my head as yet. But the important thing is that it is possible,
Okay.
and it can be done.
Once again, it's been my pleasure chatting with you today on A Chat with the Professional, and we're hoping that the young ones out there who are watching have been able to draw lots and lots of inspiration from you. Otunba Gbenga Daniel, the immediate past governor of Ogun State, South-West Nigeria. So, once again, the professional handshake,
Thank you very much.
always a tradition, and my pleasure having you once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's the much we can take on the interview segment. Don't go anywhere. I will be back shortly to wrap up this show. Well, I'm afraid that's the much we can take on the show, A Chat with the Professional today. Of course, always a delight having Otunba Gbenga Daniel on set. This is a professional of note, someone that, like I keep saying, made so much mark in engineering before venturing into politics. So let's not get it twisted. We still need him to encourage the younger ones to be the best they can. And that's why, as we continue with our mentorship program, we are hoping that we will have more professionals like Otunba Daniels to join us to ensure that when we send our kids or our young ones abroad to study, that we're able to reap from such trainings. Let us not just keep spending hard-earned resources training our people, and in the end, we do not have jobs for them to come back to practice locally. Let us not keep expecting that at the end of their education, they are just going to run back home when there's no enabling environment for them to come and exhibit what it is they've acquired. Let us move away from those old pattern of doing things where the older generation will always feel that, of course, because I've been on this job for perhaps 30, 50 years, who are you that just came up yesterday? Let us begin to appreciate people based on what they've got up here, not necessarily how much you have in your pocket. And so, till next week when I come your way, I remain Martin Sobu saying, stay blessed, and I'll see you again with another core professional. Come next time. Bye now.
A chat with a professional.